Hey, this is Alex Yoder with Pro Tip Tuesday, my favorite day of the week. And today we're going to talk with Ryan with EE Cleaning about smoke odors. You know, something that we commonly have in rental properties is issues with smoke odors, tenants smoking a little bit or a lot in our rental properties. And we want to know kind of how best to resolve those odors so that we can keep costs down. You know, we're not looking to just not only cost the owner money or even to take money from the tenant's deposit if we can resolve the issue in an affordable way. So my question for you, Ryan, as we kind of jump right into this to start here is, what is the best way, and we're not going to go into too much detail on like marijuana today. Let's just talk about regular cigarette or cigar smoke. What is the best way to resolve a smoke odor in a rental property?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Alex, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate that. Smoking is somewhat a thing in the past. It seems like we still find that a lot of properties are still affected by that, whether that is actually being the main building of the house or a lot of the times in the garage. But all the same, the odor still permeates into the walls and the surrounding parts. We have to remember, Alex, that we're not just fighting smoke with cigarettes and tobacco in particular. What we're fighting is we're actually fighting chemicals. It has been proven that there is over about 4,000 different chemicals and about 400 toxins in a cigarette with cigarette smoke that is actually released. So it kind of changes your perspective about what you're really doing. You're not just going in saying, wow, that kind of stinks a little bit. Like if Fido, had some gas or something like that. It's really is a chemical compound that has attached itself to a structure to clean. So really we need to kind of look at the level of that. You know, if someone was smoking in the doorway and it's kind of keep coming back into the house versus someone who's straight up put a camping chair and smoked a cigar in the middle or a cigarette in the middle of the family room for months, years on end. Uh-huh. Some of the areas that you have to take care of when going in there is definitely the cleaning part. It's kind of a funny analogy, but if you put tomatoes, if a kid came and put tomato sauce all over your wall, would you just paint over it? No, the answer is no, you would clean it first. And that is the same concept as the tobacco issue. Is the only way to remove odor is to remove the source. And so that comes in through a thorough cleaning of a wall, a degrease, and then a deodorizer. There's specific products on the market that your cleaning teams and your restoration teams that can get and use. So really is the first part is just to remove it completely. After that, the magic word is encapsulated. Whether that is by a foam, whether that is by a tobacco-oriented product that will, not just mask it, because tobacco is very easy to mask, but you can't eliminate it. Mm. So after the masking process, that's when we bring in the painting and the priming and the painting. A lot of people use the kills to put it down, but if you do that without the first two steps, which again is elimination, you're still going to smell the odor. Okay. Couple areas that people don't ever think about. If you have a house or a garage that is heavily smoked in, and you have to go through the cleaning. We've done it ourselves. You go through the cleaning of you wiping the walls down and encapsulating, and you come back and like, oh my gosh, where's it coming from? Some of the unfound common areas is sometimes in the fan motors. If you think about that, smoke goes up and just gets trapped in there. Over a period of time, it's holding it, won't let it go. A lot of heavily tobacco smell houses, we remove the light switches and the outlet covers, and we fog actually between them. If you think there are actually holes in the walls and it breathes actually through, and what thermal fogging does is it retraces the steps and stimulates the smoke smell, therefore it can be mitigated thoroughly.
Okay, so what you're saying basically is that there's no one size fits all. You're going to have Correct. To go in and review the issue. And I've seen that with properties that we've managed. We've had cases where, the tenant smoked for a year in the property and they vacated the property after a year. and we were able to have somebody go in with an ozone machine, for example. And
Right.
I was pretty amazed at how well that eliminated the odor, and it kept us from having to repaint the house. We've had other cases where they leave and, there's rectangles on the walls, right? Because the paint is
Right.
now yellow, discolored. And in those cases, we had to oil-based kills the walls before we could paint. So it was really expensive to do that. And then the other thing that you mentioned was sort of about the natural draft of properties. What you don't see, where is the air going? And I've heard restoration companies talk about, sometimes along the baseboards and along the edges of the carpet, that kind of is where some of the air is sort of settling and drafting into the wall, or similarly, like you mentioned in the outlets and that kind of stuff. So we don't always think about, okay, where is the air traveling to, and where is that odor kind of need to be addressed, or where do we need to focus our efforts to clean it? So what you're saying is that when you go into a property that has a smoke odor, you'll sort of assess it, and in some cases you can clean it without having to replace or repaint.
Absolutely. Again, you said it perfect that there's no one size fits all. And, obviously in property management, being stewards of somebody else's money, you obviously want to tread lightly. I mean, obviously it's the easiest thing to do is like, well, let's just repaint, let's just tear it out and let's just do it. Well, next thing you know, you have a $15,000 carpet, drywall, and painting bill. And that's not always applicable. But yes, with proper cleaning methods, and that does include the ducts. That includes the coils of the ducts. That does include thorough deodorization of the carpet. Sometimes, replacement of the carpet pad if it's that bad. A thorough cleaning of the walls, and then a thorough encapsulant. Yes, I do believe, and I've seen it with proven results, that things can be cleaned. They can be restored instead of being replaced, which is a large word. You mentioned, Alex, about the edges of the carpet, just a little bit off that subject, but when we go into houses and we see that fine dust line in carpet around the edges, that's actually called a filtration, is because between the baseboard and the carpet, it actually breathes, the walls breathe. Mm-hmm. And that's what that thin line of dust is all over. Actually has to be specially treated and cleaned, but that's also where smoke will also go, yes.
Okay. So just to kind of walk me through the steps here, on a more mild case, you may be able to simply clean. And are you using ozone machines in those cases?
We use hydroxyl generators that put some of that in, the ozone in the air. We use ozone machines. We want to, on a much lighter case, yes, is to actually just remove that smell, thorough carpet cleaning, and then sometimes just a generalized wipe down with a tobacco counteractant chemical is probably the best and most cost-efficient ways to eliminate that in a much lighter case. Yes.
Okay. So on a less severe case, you may be going in there, maybe cleaning the walls, encapsulating, cleaning the carpet professionally, getting a real deep scrub on the carpeting,
right.
And then trying to treat the air, and sort of all the spaces in between with things like ozone machines, or you guys sometimes will use those fogging machines. Do you use that?
Fogging machines, yeah, fogging machines are extremely helpful because what they do is, again, they retrace the steps of that smoke. It's a hot fogging machine, and I want you to, there is a difference that pretty much you are literally filling the house with smoke, and it follows the path where any of that cigarette smoke and odor would have gone, and counteracts it that way. So those are some of the more topical measures we can do. Sometimes I found that some rental houses, it was occasional. A lot of the time, Alex, people smoke on their front porch, but they leave the front door open.
Yeah.
Some people smoke in their garage with the door open, versus some people completely close themselves down, and almost just make a hot box with the tobacco. So
that's a really good point. I think for us rental owners, first of all, it's important to know that, smokers are not a protected class, right? You don't have to allow smoking in your rental property. And for a lot of folks, even if you don't allow it, people may smoke outside. And like you said, leave a door open, smoke in the garage, and then the garage smells horrible. Concrete is semi-porous, sort of just like drywall. So it'll sort of absorb those smells. And I've even had problems with a smoke odor, in a real bad case where it was really in the concrete, and we had to do some serious cleaning on that, but could never really fully get it out. And I think in some of those cases, you have no choice but to do encapsulating, like you were saying. Right. But you have to encapsulate it correctly. So if you go into a property that's been chain smoked in for 3 years, you can't just paint. You have to encapsulate that. And what I've done or had done is, like I said before, an oil-based primer to seal it, and then paint. Because if you just paint, you'll have bleeding through the walls.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we've all seen the nicotine kind of bleed through.
Absolutely. It's almost like a bad movie, you know. I mean, you see it just start to pop through a lot in bathrooms. You know, the term closet smoker is kind of funny, especially in the property management world, because that's exactly what it is. I did an inspection 3 weeks ago. And again, like I said, you can mask tobacco smell, especially if they're a lighter smoker, very, very well. And we were tracing down actually pet urine. And sure enough, there was a lot of Glade plugins, you know, in which I think sometimes property managers go for an inspection. And as we've all seen, when inspection comes, the house is in perfect condition. It smells wonderful. And we were doing kind of that same thing. And there, of course, was the ashtray literally in a closet. Mm. And it was just, it was sitting there. So we use that closet smoker as actually kind of a literal term, that it just gets brought out every once in a while. Again, can be masked. But like you said, with bleeding of the walls, humidity changes, temperature changes, the way the walls breathe from spring to summer to fall to winter. You know, the Bermudic pressure is just different. Things will come out if it's not dealt with properly. You know, as you walk in the house during an inspection, final inspection even, wow, this looks great, everything smells good. Well, you know, give it a week, and then sometimes those odors come back through. So
yeah, and you know, something to touch on just briefly here is that, you know, good landlords don't want to mask odors. Right. Good landlords want to resolve and remove odors, right? You know, we're not slumlords here, and we're not looking to do plugins. Like you were saying, tenants will sometimes do that. We're not looking to do plugins so that people will rent a property and now they're stuck in a lease with a smelly house. That is not something that I have ever done, or that any of the people part of this group, in my opinion, would do. So that's important. The other thing is, in terms of ozone machines, I don't know if I fully understand sort of the science behind ozone machines, because like I said before, we had a property that the tenant smoked in for a year, and I borrowed one from a buddy who had one, and I was amazed at how well it seemed to resolve 90% of that smell. Can you talk just real briefly, because we like to keep these videos pretty quick, but can you talk real briefly about what ozone machines are doing and when you've seen them effective versus not effective?
Absolutely. Ozone machine is a machine that is run off of electric current that takes the O2 molecule, which is a oxygen molecule, and turns it into O3. So it literally breaks it down. It removes the oxygen from the surrounding area. And thus places, you know, it kills odors, it kills smells. They're highly effective. That and CO2 gas is kind of the comparable measure on both of those. I've seen them work very well for odors in closed spaces. I've seen them with proper usage and proper setup, air movement circling around and pushing the air through. I've seen it transform smells and malicious odors out of basements, out of crawl spaces, out of main family rooms where there just seems to be a dingy air. It almost like presses the reset button on the indoor air quality in the room. Where I haven't seen them so effective, Alex, is when there's a lot of just source left. And by source, I mean tar on the walls. When I mean that is if the carpets haven't been cleaned. You know, ozone should always be used as the last step for that working. A lot of people just say, hey, let's just throw an ozone machine there and it cleans it up. We actually had a case personally about a month and a half ago where that's what was requested. We went and did it. As soon as the ozone machine was good, the house was aired, if you will, the smell was still in there. So the ozone is sometimes the perfect icing on the cake after the carpet's been cleaned and after the walls have been washed, just to put that in there as a final push, if you will, through the air. Again, ozone and the duct work is probably success, 100%.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. So it's sort of the final wipe down. It's kind of how I think about it. Like you want to, if you're cleaning a house, for example, you want to do a thorough cleaning, and then you may do a final sort of scent removal or odor treatment on the way out to sort of really make that 100%. But you don't want to treat the ozone machine as this is all we're doing in most cases.
Right.
Unless it's real mild or something, maybe.
Extremely mild, right. Or sometimes like an outside concrete garage, things like that, where we're just trying to just get the dinge out of the air.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for hanging out with us today. You are a wealth of knowledge, and we will have you back. We're going to talk about marijuana smells at a future date, and everything else in between. Your company does restoration, house cleaning. What else do you do?
Sure. EE Cleaning, multi-divisional cleaning company. So we take care of from start to finish for our property managers. We have the cleaning, we have the carpets. We offer with the gutter services, gutter cleaning, power washing, specialty odor control. We partner with the best duct guys in the city, best window cleaners in the city, things like that. So we are the kind of the cleaning concierge, if you will, and we're here for all the needs from start to finish. Most services usually we can accomplish within a day's cleaning time, and go from there. So commitment is to quality, and we're a relationship-based company. So we're not looking for everyone. We're just looking for the right people that we can team up with and really be a benefit for them and their clients.
Yeah. And I can speak as a property manager who uses EE Cleaning. We've been very pleased with you guys. You say that you, again, just to recap here, you do pretty much anything under the cleaning umbrella. So you'll do turnover, standard house cleaning, you'll do carpet steam cleaning, you'll do restoration work. Will you do biohazard work as well? Or is that something that's... Yeah.
We are. No, we are. Our restoration division is mold, fire, trauma, sewage, and water, fire certified. So we have technicians that are ICRC certified for those things. We are literally flood to finish. We have from the mitigation part to the rebuild, we have plenty of people that we can put you in touch with who you feel most comfortable with to put the small baseboards and carpentry problems back together. So you just have to make one phone call and take care of it from there. So as far as the COVID-19 cleaning as well, that is something that we offer. We've been doing that in the community and in schools well before this even hit for about 3-4 years. So we have the latest technology, things like that for you guys.
So that's kind of like a clinical level cleaning, if you will.
Biological mitigation. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. You have a great rest of your week.
I'll look forward to you guys next time.
Okay. We'll see you.
Thank you, sir.